Have you ever felt your legs heavier than usual when walking? Or perhaps experienced that unsettling moment of suddenly forgetting the name of someone you know, or why you walked into a room? Do not ignore those signs. Because those two signals, as unrelated as they may seem, could be telling you the same story about what is happening inside your body. We are often told that this is simply part of getting older, that it is normal, that we just have to accept it. But modern science tells a completely different story. What many women are feeling after 60 could be the first warning sign of a circulatory system that is losing efficiency. One that is affecting not only the legs but also the clarity and sharpness of the mind. Think of it this way. The arteries are like the rivers that nourish a city. When the current flows with strength and without obstacles, every neighborhood receives clean, fresh water. But when those rivers begin to lose pressure, the neighborhoods farthest from the center are the first to feel it. In your body, that farthest neighborhood is the brain. When circulation fails to arrive with the same force as before, memory, concentration, and mental agility are the first to suffer. A study from the Women's Health Initiative Memory Study, which followed more than 6,400 postmenopausal women between the ages of 65 and 79, found that women with cardiovascular problems had a 29% higher risk of cognitive decline, compared to those who maintained healthy circulation. That is not a coincidence. It is biology. It is a connection that almost no one explains clearly. But here is what matters most. That decline is not inevitable. The female body, even after 60, retains a capacity for adaptation that most people completely underestimate. Simple movements, requiring no gym or equipment, can directly activate the systems responsible for maintaining that healthy blood flow to the brain. Today you are going to discover 4 exercises designed specifically to reactivate circulation, reduce heaviness in the legs, and protect the mental clarity you deserve to keep. No impact. No equipment. No matter where you are starting from. But this is not just about the exercises. It is about understanding exactly why they work, what they trigger inside your body, and how those changes will show up in your daily life. The third one in particular activates a connection between the body and the brain that almost no conventional program works on directly. Exercise 1, Lying Leg Raise. There is something that happens in a woman's body after 60 that almost no one mentions. Something with direct consequences both on how the legs feel and on mental clarity. The blood that the heart pumps with force toward the feet and legs has to travel back upward against gravity. To make that return journey, it depends almost entirely on something many women are losing without knowing it. The muscular activation of the lower body. Think of it like an escalator. When it works, going up is easy and fast. When it stops, every step costs twice as much effort. The leg muscles are that escalator for venous blood. When they activate correctly, they push blood upward efficiently. When they weaken or remain inactive for hours, blood accumulates in the lower extremities, creating that feeling of heaviness, swelling, and coldness that so many women normalize as part of aging, when in reality it is a signal that the venous return system needs help. Here is the connection no one explains. When that blood does not return to the heart with the efficiency it should, the brain also receives less oxygen than it needs. Not dramatically, not overnight, but slowly and cumulatively. That progressive reduction in cerebral oxygenation is one of the factors that science has directly linked to brain fog, everyday forgetfulness, and the feeling that the mind no longer responds with the same speed as before. The lying leg raise works directly on this problem, from 2 angles at the same time. On one hand, it uses gravity in favor of venous return, allowing blood accumulated in the extremities to flow back to the heart with much less effort. Vascular health specialists have documented that elevating the legs above heart level significantly reduces pressure inside the leg veins, and improves blood flow back to the heart, relieving swelling and reducing the risk of chronic venous insufficiency. On the other hand, the active movement of lifting the leg with control activates the quadriceps and the anterior chain muscles, sending a signal to the nervous system that the body is in motion and needs active circulation. Lie on your back on a firm surface, arms relaxed at your sides. One leg remains with the knee slightly bent and the foot flat on the floor. The other rises slowly, knee straight, until it reaches approximately the height of the opposite hip. Hold the position for 2 seconds at the top, feeling the activation in the front of the thigh. Then descend slowly, controlling every inch of the return, without letting the leg drop. That is 1 repetition. 10 to 12 per leg. 2 sets. What you should feel is a clear and progressive effort in the front of the thigh of the leg that is lifting, along with a feeling of relief and activation throughout the entire leg. If you feel tension in the lower back, make sure the knee of the supporting leg is bent and the foot is firmly planted on the floor. That small adjustment distributes the load correctly and protects the spine throughout the movement. With consistent practice, the changes arrive in ways many women do not expect. The legs feel lighter when walking. Ankle swelling at the end of the day decreases. That feeling of heaviness that used to appear after sitting for a while begins to ease. Week by week, without anyone having needed to leave the house or use any special equipment. Exercise 2. Ankle and hip circles. There is a structure in the human body that vascular medicine specialists have been calling the second heart for decades. It is not an organ. It is not a gland. It is the calf muscles. After 60, especially in women, that second heart begins to lose efficiency in such a silent way that most people never detect it until the consequences are already evident. The heart has more than enough force to send blood toward the feet. The problem is the return journey. That blood, loaded with carbon dioxide and metabolic waste, has to travel back up from the feet to the heart against gravity. To make that journey, it depends on the muscular activation of the legs. Every time the calf and ankle muscles contract, they compress the deep veins and push blood upward like a pump. When that pump weakens or remains inactive, blood stagnates. When blood stagnates in the extremities, both the heart and the brain receive less than they need. What makes ankle and hip circles especially valuable is that they activate that muscular pump in a way no other simple exercise can replicate. By combining the circular movement of the ankle with controlled rotation of the hip, several muscle groups are activated simultaneously, working together to mobilize venous blood from the lower extremities toward the heart. This is not a strength movement. It is an activation movement, and that distinction makes it especially powerful for women who are beginning to recover their circulation. A study published in PubMed that evaluated the impact of different foot and ankle movements on venous flow found that the active combined movement produced a 38% increase in mean blood flow velocity and a 58% increase in peak flow velocity, results significantly superior to passive movements. A separate study published in BMC Nursing, conducted specifically with older women, documented that active ankle movement in a lying position increased oxyhemoglobin levels in the brain, confirming the direct connection between activating the ankles and improving cerebral oxygenation. The exercise can be done seated in a firm chair or lying on your back, making it one of the most versatile and safe exercises in this routine. Begin rotating the ankles in slow, controlled circles, first in one direction for 10 repetitions, then in the other for 10 more. Feel how the movement travels through the entire lower leg, from the ankle up to the calf. If you are seated, add the hip movement. With hands resting on the thighs for stability, make small circles with the pelvis, as if drawing a circle on the chair. This activates the deep hip muscles and the core, improving blood flow in the pelvic area, one of the regions where circulation tends to stagnate most with sedentary behavior after 60. What you should feel is a progressive activation and a gentle warmth traveling through the legs from the feet upward. If you feel tingling at the start of the movement, do not be alarmed. It is the signal that blood that was accumulated is beginning to move. With practice, that tingling disappears, replaced by a feeling of lightness that many women describe as removing an invisible weight from their legs. With consistent practice, the changes arrive in concrete ways. Nighttime cramps decrease. Ankle swelling at the end of the day reduces. That mid-afternoon mental fog, that feeling that the mind just cannot seem to start up, begins to lift, because the brain is receiving the oxygenated blood flow it needs to function with clarity. Exercise 3, Standing March with High Knees. If the first two exercises work directly on venous return from the extremities, this third one does something that neither of them can do alone. It connects the movement of the body with the activity of the brain in a way that science has been documenting for years. Yet most conventional exercise programs ignore entirely. There is something very few women know about the relationship between the legs and the mind. When the large muscles of the lower body activate in a rhythmic and coordinated way, they do not just pump blood back to the heart. They also generate signals that travel directly to the brain, stimulating specific regions related to memory, attention, and cognitive control. It is as if the legs were the light switch of the brain. When they move with intention, the lights turn on. When they remain still for hours, the room slowly goes dark. A study conducted with women over 60, published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease by researchers at the University of Texas Southwestern, documented something extraordinary. After 1 year of moderate aerobic exercise, blood flow to the participants' brains increased significantly, with improvements of 47% in some memory scores. Brain imaging showed increased blood flow precisely in the hippocampus and the anterior cingulate cortex, the regions most directly related to memory and decision-making. There is no need to run a marathon to get that benefit. The standing march with high knees activates exactly the same mechanisms from the comfort of home, with no impact, no risk, and no equipment needed. By alternating the lifting of each knee slowly and consciously, you are recreating the rhythmic walking pattern that the brain recognizes and responds to by increasing blood flow. It is the stimulus your mind has been waiting for. Stand tall with feet hip-width apart. Gently engage the abdomen to stabilize the pelvis. From there, lift one knee toward the chest slowly and in a controlled way, to hip height or as high as you can go without the torso leaning. Lower with control. Alternate. The pace should be deliberate and unhurried. This is not about speed. It is about awareness in every lift, feeling how the hip activates, how the body stabilizes on one leg, and how the nervous system coordinates the entire movement. If balance feels challenging at any point, lightly rest your fingertips on a chair or wall in front of you. That does not reduce the benefit of the exercise. It makes it safer and more sustainable, which is exactly what matters. What you should feel is a clear activation in the hip of the supporting leg and a progressive warmth traveling through the thighs as you alternate. If the torso sways side to side, reduce the range of movement and focus on keeping the upper body completely still. That control is the signal that the exercise is working correctly. With consistent practice, the changes go beyond the physical. The legs feel more agile, balance improves noticeably. Something more subtle but equally important also begins to happen. The mind feels more alert after exercising. Everyday forgetfulness becomes less frequent. That mental fog many women normalize? As part of aging begins to lift, because the brain is receiving the oxygenated blood flow it needs to function with clarity and precision. Exercise 4, Supine Spinal Twist. There is an area of the body that most exercise programs for older women completely ignore. Yet it plays a fundamental role in both circulation and the quality of rest and recovery. It is not the legs. It is not the arms. It is the spine and all the musculature surrounding it. After 60, and especially with decades of accumulated sedentary behavior, the spine tends to progressively lose rotational mobility. The muscles around it tighten, shorten and lose their ability to lengthen easily. When that happens, something that very few people connect directly begins to fail. Circulation in the deep tissues of the back and pelvic area becomes compromised, because the blood vessels nourishing that region depend on the mobility and rhythmic compression of the surrounding tissues to function correctly. Think of it like wringing out a sponge. When you squeeze and release it alternately, the liquid trapped inside flows out and the space created allows fresh liquid to enter. The tissues of the spine and the abdominal organs work in exactly that way. When the spine rotates gently and in a controlled manner, it rhythmically compresses and decompresses the tissues, improving local circulation, facilitating the elimination of metabolic waste, and stimulating the activity of internal organs that with sedentary behavior tend to become progressively less efficient. The supine twist works directly on that mechanism. Performed lying on the back, it completely eliminates load on the spine, and allows a gentle, deep rotation that would be impossible to achieve standing or seated. Movement physiology specialists have documented that spinal torsion exercises in the supine position improve circulation in the deep tissues of the back, relieve tension in the quadratus lumborum, and stimulate the function of the digestive and reproductive organs, which share space and vascular resources with the circulatory system of the lower extremities. Lie on your back with knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Arms open to the sides, forming a T with the body. From there, gently bring both knees toward one side, allowing the hip to rotate and the spine to follow the movement naturally. Do not force. Do not push. Simply allow gravity to do the work and let the tissues lengthen with the weight of the legs. Hold the position for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing calmly and deeply. Each deep exhale helps the body release a little more into the stretch. Then return to center slowly and repeat to the other side. What you should feel is a gentle and progressive lengthening along the spine and the lateral hip area. If you feel tension in the lower back, place a pillow under the knees to reduce the range of rotation. If the shoulders lift off the floor, also reduce the range until both shoulders can rest comfortably. The quality of the position matters far more than the depth of the twist. With regular practice, the changes are multiple and deep. The lower back feels lighter and less tense. Digestion improves. Nighttime rest becomes more restorative. Something many women do not expect. The feeling of heaviness in the legs decreases, because by improving circulation in the pelvic area, venous return from the entire lower body is also optimized. A study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine documented that gentle spinal rotation exercises practiced regularly in older women produced significant improvements in spinal flexibility, reductions in chronic lower back pain, and improvements in sleep quality, 3 factors directly related to quality of life and functional independence after 60. Because when the body rests well, it recovers well. When it recovers well, it has the energy and clarity to keep moving with confidence every day. Why these 4 exercises change everything. What you just learned is not a conventional exercise routine. It is a protocol designed specifically to address something that female aging deteriorates in a silent and cumulative way: the connection between circulation, movement, and mental clarity. For years we were told that decline was inevitable. That heavy legs, everyday forgetfulness, and the feeling that the body no longer responds the same way were simply part of getting older. But science tells a different story. These 4 exercises are the living evidence of that. Here is what no one explains clearly. Circulation is not an independent system. It is connected to muscle strength, joint mobility, sleep quality, and brain oxygenation. When one of those systems fails, all the others feel it. When all of them receive the right stimulus, the body responds in a way that many women describe as recovering something they believed was lost forever. 2 to 3 times per week is enough. Without leaving home. Without equipment. No matter where you are starting from. The female body, even after 60, has a capacity for adaptation that most people completely underestimate. It just needs the right signals, repeated with consistency. The first changes do not all arrive at the same time. First, the heaviness in the legs at the end of the day disappears. Then nighttime rest improves. Then the mind begins to feel clearer in the mornings. With time, something deeper returns. Confidence in the body itself. That feeling that you can still move, think, and live on your own terms. Before closing this video, try it right now. Lie on your back, bring both knees to one side, and stay there for 30 seconds breathing calmly. Just 30 seconds. Pay attention to what you feel in the spine, in the hip, in the breath. That feeling of relief that appears almost immediately is exactly what these exercises produce in your body every time you practice them. Just deeper, longer lasting, and with results that accumulate week by week. Write it in the comments. Do you feel that heaviness in your legs at the end of the day, or those moments of forgetting that appear without warning? Your answer tells us a lot about what your body needs right now. If this content gave you clarity about something you have been feeling for a long time without understanding why, share it with a friend who needs it. If you are not subscribed yet, you are invited to do so, so you do not miss what comes next.